All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome Harmless Dave back again here talking real music in real time for real people just like you, just like me. Special guest today, one of the finer vocalists in the melodic rock world. Could be all time, honestly. This guy is just such a good singer. Man. He's not going to want me to say that, though, because, you know, he grew up listening to Lou Gramm and Jimi Jamison, and he's going to say, shut up, Dave. But we're talking to Robbie LeBlanc today, who is lead singer of this band here, Find Me. And I don't know if you can find it right there. This is their brand new record. It's called Lightning in a Bottle. How are you, Robbie?
David, I'm hanging in there. Thank you, man. Yeah. Nice to see you today.
It's good to be seen. It's good. Nice
it sure is.
I see you got wine barrels behind you. And the audience, I'm just going to let you explain that you have a little other thing that you fall back on.
It's called a full-time day job. And I've been with Bogle, B-O-G-L-E Vineyards out in California for probably close to 20 years now. So just a great company, still family owned. The wines are just phenomenal. So this is a shot of our barrel room, which goes on even more than this, you know. It's just an amazing company.
Yeah, I thought that was oil for a second. And I'm thinking, now we know.
I wish.
Now we know where all the oil went. But if you can't get oil, you go for the wine, right? Because, you know, with the price of gas these days, you're thinking to yourself, I need another glass of wine to cope with this.
Absolutely. I just hope, you know, after everybody fills up their tanks, there's enough, you know, cash left to buy a bottle of wine.
Yeah. Disposable income, brother. It's rough crazy, out there. You got to make choices. So this album came out in March.
Yes.
What is this, like number 5, number 4, number 5 in the series?
No, the fourth one. Yeah. The fourth one.
Okay. Yeah. I have them all. They're sitting, if you can kind of see in the shot, they're kind of.
I can't see it. Yeah. I can't see it.
I kind of tried to put them all together because you were nice enough to send me those. I really enjoyed the last one. And this one here has a bit of a different feel to it. Sounds like you went a little in a different direction, production-wise. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so Daniel Flores, the producer that gets all the songs, you know, from Frontiers, mostly written by Alessandro Del Vecchio on this one. And, you know, of course, Alessandro had a lot of co-writers as well. And I don't want to disrespect that. But I just don't remember all the guys. And, but just a lot of, and then two songs were written by Swedish guys. And, you know, again, it's not fun for me to say their names, and I apologize, but they're very, very talented people. And, the sound was just I think it's a little more guitar heavy on this one, you know, which I like. I love like a Foreigner sort of sound because, you know, Mick Jones just had that great Marshall tone and then just put some keys behind it. You know, and Lou could sing anything, right? So, you know, I mean, that's really just a magical fit there. But this was more, I think, a little stripped down as far as like the keyboards went. Really had a really cool time with that remake that we did, Far From Over, which was a real shock that, you know, Daniel said, hey, man, do you want to do a remake of Far From Over? I said, that's an odd choice. I said, Frank Stallone. But the cool thing about it was that my buddy Vince DiCola wrote the song, right? So
co-wrote,
and he wrote it with Frank. And so I called Vince. I said, look, man, you know, do you mind if we remake Far From Over? But I said, if I do it, I can't be as sort of generic of a vocal that Frank Stallone was. He was very clean, you know, the whole way through, right? And, you know, Vince said, oh, do it. Yeah, man, we always wanted a little bit more of an edge on that tune anyway, right? So I did that, you know, which was cool. You know, just made it like a little edgier. And then Vince, of course, played like the solos on it. So cool. that was really, really fun to see come to light. I'm not much of a prog rock guy, but man, that track came out really, really nice, man. The boys did a nice job on that.
Yeah, and that's on this album. It's I think it's like track number 2 or 3. on the
Two,
track.
yes,
Yeah,
correct.
track
Yeah.
2. And I was kind of surprised to see it on there when I said this has got to be Frank Stallone. I mean, Far
Right.
From Over. How
Exactly.
many Far From Overs are out there? And it's like, damn it, and it just takes you back to that whole Rocky era and the 80s, and it's one of those it's a piece of the American songbook of that era, and it's kind of cool. I mean, and I know you don't like all the praise, but you can't be kind of a half-hearted vocalist and do like this particular song. There are a few songs that are out there that you don't want to do. It's like they say, don't try this at home, right? But you're one of those guys who I think can do it.
Thank you.
You've got that gift. I know you've been doing this for a while. I think the first time we had you on, you were this close on a few occasions of being one of those guys I talked about, like a Lou Gramm type guy. And the more I listen to you, brother, I just say it's kind of like how the world doesn't align at the right moment. But I say to myself, right. This guy, he's on the A team of the current crop of really great. And your label says that about you too. They're always like, hey, Robbie LeBlanc, he's the man. He's one of the great vocalists in our stable of singers. And more people. One of the things I'm hoping people, if they watch this video, will check out the albums that you did. Obviously, these Find Me albums, but I really enjoyed like the Blank Faces stuff. That was another.
That was great. Because my brother, I lost my brother last year, right? And,
sorry, man.
Yeah, no, yeah, he was very, very sudden. He was only 58, and I'm just so grateful that we had a chance to go out and be invited to play at Rockingham, and that was just a great experience for him. Besides the band that we had, but my brother got to play the bass, and he wrote like 99% of the Blank Faces songs. And one thing about him, he just knew he would write for me, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey man, we're gonna do this kind of Survivor thing in this one, and we're gonna do a Foreigner thing in this one, and he just was really great, man. I wish that he could have gotten more credibility as a songwriter, in like the mainstream. But we had a lot of opportunities,
right.
One of them back in the day, like in the probably late 80s, early 90s, was when Dan Hartman was still alive, right?
Yeah.
And Dan lived in Westport, Connecticut, and we weren't that far away. And Dan was the nicest son of a gun, man. We lost him too, like years ago. But he had a studio in Westport, and he really tried to get us a publishing deal. He really, really took it upon himself to help us out. And we came close, like a couple of times, but we just couldn't get the right things to align.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really strange.
I mean, you've been doing this for a while, and you got this new album. How has how's the response been to this? I mean,
I think the response has been really good. Look, my wife and I like listened back to some of our early stuff yesterday, which I don't like to listen to me at all. Like, I think that it just drives me up a wall. But when there's a song, or songs that I can, that I sang on that I don't mind listening to, I know it must be a pretty, at least a decent vocal. But one on that album that I love, man, is a song called Diana.
Diana.
I think it's track 5, I think. And,
it is track 5. Yes,
man,
sir.
The demo that I got from the band, this was not an Alessandro tune, but the band that sent the demo out on this one that got approved, by Serafino, like everyone at the label. The demo that I got was just amazingly fantastic, right? I mean, the vibe of the tune, the singer was killing it.
Yeah.
Young kid. I could tell he was a young kid because he had this kind of really cool vibe to him.
Right.
And how the hell am I going to do this one? And I just had to really, really sink in. And it came out. I think I did it in, like 3 or 4 takes or whatever. And I knew it. Some of the vocals are probably the highest I've ever done. And that was, I mean, I probably would have to say, like, I think my wife kicked me in the ass before I did that high note.
Or somewhere else.
Right. She made my voice go up. Exactly. Yeah. So, no, but that's one that I could say that, you know, just really probably one of my finer moments.
Yeah. I mean,
there haven't been many.
Yeah. I think this album, you know, from start to finish, there's a couple
strong record.
Yeah. Give My Heart was one of my favorite songs.
Oh, again, written by the same, you know, guys that wrote the Diana tune. So it's funny you pull that one out. But then we have like Survive is really cool.
Yes.
You know, yeah.
That's
so
the lead single. I mean, it's a couple of singles that they put out for you. Back to You was the second one.
The ballad. Yeah, really nice ballad.
And then Remember It's Me. There's another one.
Great tune.
You and I is a really good song too.
Yes.
I really enjoyed that. And then one of them where you were born under a bad sign. I was thinking
that's I know, like blues, but check out the chords in that tune. Very, very mysterious,
progressive.
Chords.
I would throw. There's a few, and all of these records, by the way, the Find Me projects, they have an element, a progressive element. You talked about how you're not really that proggy, but I think it's the production. It's the way, you know, the instrumentation works. It's not necessarily we're going to write a real progressive song. It's just everybody gets together and you hear certain sounds that maybe you don't expect. Maybe there's a chord change that kind of goes, you know, in a direction that you didn't expect. Whereas, you know, back if you're singing Survivor or Foreigner, you've kind of got this expectation, this structure. This is a little bit more, I would even use the word, maybe experimental in places, but not to the point where you're like, okay, this is, you know, it's like Billy Sherwood, you know, this is
exactly.
It's not that, but it keeps the listener interested. We'll say that, you know, if you listen to it more than once, I think you're going to get a lot out of this record. That's another, you know, key to that. You're not going to be necessarily bored, you know, the first time listening, go, okay, I get this. You know, and I'll never
really nice players on the album too, David. You have like, you know, like Daniel and Michael Palace played a lot of guitar. I think all the guitars on
Palace is he's kind of borderline genius. A lot of people don't know who he is.
Yeah, no, he's an amazing player, and you know, Johnny T on the bass. You know, I mean, just great players that really, you know, this had more of a sound to it. Like this album had more of like a, you know, like a, you know, really unique sort of like sound that went through the whole record.
Yeah.
You know, so I really be really proud of the last one here. Yeah. You know, really, you know, the guys played great. And it was fantastic.
So the next question I have, how much longer are you going to keep going? I mean, I'm not telling you to stop. I'm just thinking to myself, here's a guy. I mean, as long as, you know, Frontiers says, hey, how about another Find Me project? How long can you see yourself doing this for?
Oh man. Well, I'm 62 and
looking good.
Well, much appreciated, brother. You know, I just try to keep singing as much as I can, right? So I do little gigs around the area where I live in Delaware,
right?
Here in Lewis. But you know, this year is going to be pretty busy in the studio because I just finished up a project for Frontiers Records that I can't tell you what it is yet, but pretty cool little thing like that's going to come out.
Yeah,
and involves some really, you know what? Well, I'll tell you offline.
Okay. Okay. So that's something the audience, you know, again, because either
I'd
one
love
of
to
us,
say it, but I'm not sure if I'm at liberty to do it.
No.
So you know what? You don't want to make the Italians mad, man, right?
Right.
So,
no.
I'm mostly Italian.
for a guy who has kind of a French last name, right? But both of us, you know, we know you don't mess around.
I'm very Italian. Yes.
You don't mess around. It's La blank, not Le blank. So it's
right.
Right.
But my mom's maiden name was Falsetti, so she was very, very Italian. I look just like her.
Yeah. No, I would say
she's
if I met you on the street.
She's 88 years old.
Yeah. 88.
88. Thank God she's still here, man.
See, you could be doing this then for another 20 plus years.
Well, That's my thought, but I've got another solo record to do with Escape Music this year.
Yeah.
Which Steve Overland's going to be involved in that as well again, which I'm
Ooh.
excited about because Steve is such an amazing writer, singer,
Oh
the
yeah.
whole shebang.
You and him on one record. You and Steve Overland on one record.
Well, the last solo record had a bunch of him on it as well. I mean, he wrote,
okay.
yeah, he wrote most of the tune. It was him and Tommy Denander wrote the last one.
Yeah.
This one's going to be Steve and Steve Overland and Steve Morse, not Steve Morse from Dixie Dregs, but Steve Morse, Morse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh. Wow.
And I just got like some of the demos, and they're sounding great. I'm going to start singing that probably the first week of June. I'm going to start that, and I think we just found out we're going to do another Find Me album. So I think that's going to be I think that's going to be done. It's got to be in by January 1, I think. So we're moving full steam ahead on that one. So so lots to sing on this year.
So you're a busy guy, and then you've got that. Now you're in another band, right? With
the boys from Australia.
East
Temple Avenue. Yes.
Yeah.
East Temple Avenue.
And are you guys still doing anything with that?
We are. Yeah. So and then I've got to sing a few for my friend that has the band Imperium. I promised him I would sing on some Imperium tracks.
Nice.
Danny, yeah, and then what else is there? I think that's going to be it.
Jeez.
So East Temple Avenue, some Imperium, solo record, and another Find Me album. All done in my spare time. But the help of God,
in between.
Still have a marriage left when I'm done.
Yeah, hey, brother, it looks like you're living a good life there. You look healthy. You look happy, and I
appreciate that, man.
It's this industry. This industry is kind of I have obviously some strong opinions on the lack of exposure. I did an interview, which is kind of weird. Somebody wanted to interview me with they have this online radio station, and they like the channel, and we sat down, we had a bit of a talk about all of this great music Frontiers puts out. You mentioned Escape, all these labels named after Journey albums, right?
Yes, exactly. Frontiers and Escape. You're right.
Just kind of a coincidence.
I never thought of that, actually.
Yeah. But yeah, the two really good labels, and there are a few others out there, but there are fewer labels than there used to be. And
sure,
there's certainly the five major media companies that kind of run everything, and kind of they talk about things like they'll talk about a new album by so and so. But,
right.
Will it air on their radio station? No.
I know.
And it's one of those things. Do you ever get depressed, like driving down the road, not to make you, because, you're not the guy who's bummed out all the time, but you drive down the road and you think to yourself, hey, I just heard a song by Survivor. Why don't they play my new FM, not band FM, but Find Me song. Right? Why don't they play that next to something by one of these artists that it would fit in there? It would be good. There's a little more variety. People, you hear the same 100 songs. I know, I'm sure you're in the car thinking, I love Lou Gramm, but do I need to hear Hot Blooded again today? I mean, maybe you do, maybe you don't.
That's a great point. I mean, I think that people that are listening to that sort of music on the radio anyway would want to hear something new from the genre, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a ton of great singers, right? I mean, you've got Kent Hilly and Toby Hitchcock and all these guys. They're all great singers. Like, they're not good. They're great.
Yeah.
And I don't know, and just so many of them that are just like amazing. So yeah, I mean, why not? But it's just radio is radio these days. I mean, we really, most of us have Spotify or
I know
Tidal, Tidal, and I get that one like in the high res thing, which is great.
Cool.
But
that's cool.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, it just changed so much. I mean, people really year after year, like physical media sales are almost like non-existent now.
I know.
I mean, how many records like does anyone even like press anymore, right? Or CDs. I mean, everything is like streamed, and it's not trackable, most of it. A guy like me, I mean, I don't even track any of my sales, because really, I mean, we're kind of set up as like, hired hands to do the work, right? So
Right.
as far as like, any kind of like, I guess the word is residuals, go, that
Mhm.
the probably makes the money on it, and
Yeah.
like hopefully like the songwriters, but I remember the way it's set up, it's just hard for people to make money even like, writing songs on this stuff. So
Right.
my heart goes out to them too, because I mean, I mean, look at Alessandro, man. I mean, that guy works. That dude's working every day, man.
I
And
don't.
he's
Yeah.
such a passionate guy and a beautiful, beautiful man.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Vegetarian guy. Loves animals. And just his heart is as big as his chest, right? He's just a really beautiful cat, right?
Yeah.
But
He's
these
in.
guys do it. They don't have a day gig, right? That's
Yep.
their gig,
That is
and
their
they make it
gig.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
God bless them, man. Really. Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard. There are a few people, and I'm fortunate, right, to know a few of them that are trying to keep this going,
Sure.
and we're all from that far from over era. We're all thinking that, there's still more glory out there. There's still a song that needs to be written that hasn't been sung yet, and somebody's
Right.
going to write that song, and somebody's going to sing it. Could be Robbie LeBlanc, right? Could be, you mentioned
No.
some of the other people out there who are great vocalists, and Alessandro sings for his band. I talked to the great Johnny Gioeli the other day. I'm like,
Sure. Amazing.
he's still got the passion to get out
Yep.
there and sing, So, it is, I mention this because I always say to myself, if I had, say, I don't know, a lot of disposable income, right? I say I was one of these guys that made millions, selling wine or something, and I said to myself, I want to buy a terrestrial radio station. I want to buy that station, and I want to make it a melodic rock, classic rock. I want to make it a hybrid where you hear
Right.
guitar driven music like you used to on the radio. You hear new bands that would fit next to the old bands. Maybe you hear a little more variety from the old bands too, instead of the same, 10
Sure.
focus tested classic songs that everybody's got to keep playing. And, let the public, let the consumer decide whether they like that format or not. And I have a hunch that people would want to hear that, Robbie. I have a good feeling.
David, I mean, you're right. In just like a case in point, this is like many years ago, but I remember buying the Doobies' new album at the time, What Were Once Vices Are Now Habits. And there was a song called Black Water on it, right? Okay.
Yes.
We all know the song, of course,
Right.
but if you know the song's history,
Yep.
it was the flip side of Another Park Another Sunday.
Yep.
Right. And some DJ out, it flipped it over, which they had, the
Liberty.
power to do that in those days, right?
Right.
Flipped it over and said, well, here's here's a single, you
Yeah.
know. And I remember as a 13-year-old kid writing to Warner Brothers Records. I swear to God, I wrote a letter to
Yep.
Warner Brothers, and I think I like addressed it like to Ted Templeman, right?
Ted Templeman, please,
Yeah,
Ted.
3300 Warner Boulevard,
Yep.
Burbank. I'll never forget it because I wrote the letter. Said, you guys, who the heck is picking singles over there? Blackwater's your song,
Yeah.
and son of a gun, it got flipped over. So yeah, let the public decide. And it was such a beautiful tune that people heard it and say, wow, who's this? The
Right.
Doobie Brothers, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, yeah, and that's happened a couple of times. Well, probably more than a couple of times, but I have the same kind of example. I was in radio, and we had gotten I can't remember the name of the album, but we had gotten this album by Alana Miles, and the first single off that was a tune called "Love Is," and they wanted us to play that song, and we did. We played it, but I think I was in the production studio, and it could be, not just me, could have been multiple people that did this at the same time. But I listened to Black Velvet, and
Yes.
I said, holy crap. I said, what the hell is this? Right. And so I ran it into the I ran out of the production studio, ran it into the on-air studio. And we still had albums. We were playing records still. Sure. And I said, you got to put this on the air, put it on the air. And I forget who was on the air at the time, probably the midday jock. And she said, oh, okay. You know, she was a little shocked. The phones lit up. Exactly. The phones went crazy. Who is that? What is that song? Slow, sultry, you know, the whole thing about Black Velvet, right? Yeah. And about 2 weeks later, that thing was a rocket on the mainstream rock charts. And then about a week or two later, it was on Top 40. It was on Adult Contemporary. It was everywhere. And, you know, that was not the record label. That was the record label, like, being behind Atlantic Records saying, yo, it's a good idea. Let's play this one, you know? So the Doobie Brother thing is a classic. It's one of the great ones of all time. Yeah. But, you know, there've been instances where, you know, let the audience figure it out. And in this case, you know, with this music, and I just root for you, you know, when I get all these albums, like Frontiers is a great label. I get all these albums. I got another album you're on here by this band called Lionville. Another amazing band, came out early this year, back, I think, in January, right? And it's just another Lionville album, right? Just another work of art, masterpiece, start to finish, very much like the Find Me record. These guys, they really get it too. They did I think a remake a number of years ago of Waiting for a Star to Fall. And that just blew me away because I've always loved that song. And then they took it up and rocked it out a little bit and gave it kind of a different. That was Boy Meets Girl, right? Boy Meets Girl, right? Number one, 1988, brother. Number one on Top 40. Sat you know there. Why I know that? Yeah. Because at that time, my brother and I signed a deal with a Reef Martin. And yes. That's a producer. And a Reef lived up in Weston, Connecticut. Yep. He had a home in, you know, New York and Turkey and all that stuff too. But I had dropped the tape off in his box and, you know, at his home, and he called me up and we went down there and we signed a 6-month deal, you know, with him. I think his production company was called Deniz, Deniz. And we signed with him for 6 months, and we tried to get on Atlantic. And we were so psyched because he had Bette Midler, Wind Beneath My Wings was huge, right? Yeah, that's him. Yeah. Yeah. And then him and his son, Joe, did the Boy Meets Girl tune, right? And he said, oh, shoot, man, you know, man, a Reef is hot. You know, we have a really good shot of getting on the label. But it just never happened, you know. But that I just know the song because that was one that we, you know, bought and go, oh, cool, man, like you did this one, you know, and and then we're down. I mean, back in the day, Atlantic was on 1841 Broadway, you know, right next to Lincoln Center. Yeah, I think it's a Starbucks now or something, man. It's just I mean, legendary studio, right? I think it's all gone. I don't think it's there anymore. Wouldn't surprise me. It's you know, it's the sign of the times, brother. Unfortunately. Yep. But hey, I gotta run because I gotta talk to somebody else after. No worries. Busy day, and it's good though. It's good. Hopefully, some people will check out this new album, and of course, don't forget, Robbie is going to be busy for many years to come. He's got good genes. So I hope you're right, brother. How's the voice, by the way? How's your vocal cords holding up these days? Pretty good, man. I sing almost every day, so I try not to get into that trap of letting like a week or two go by, you know, and then, you know, God forbid a month, then you're like really croaky. But yeah, you know, if you treat it as a muscle, you know, and you know, do stupid things like smoke, you know, and you know, or anything, you know, and just like keep your drinking like in moderation. He says that with wine. Shot of staying around for a while. He says that with wine barrels behind him, you know. Exactly. Keep drinking in moderation. Turn off the news, right? Turn off the news. Turn off the news, man. And just have a nice glass of wine with your spouse, right? You and your wife go cruising in the car and maybe sample some of the good songs on you know, your prior works here. And Look, it's always great to have you on. You're a good guy.
Thank you for having me.
One of the good guys in this industry, and
I appreciate that, David.
I hope you're going to be around for another 20 or 30 years. And
I hope you're right.
Because we can keep doing this. We can do this every year. You know, we'll age gracefully together, and we'll present all this music, and then, you know, at least few of us geezers will have something to listen to.
Fabulous, man.
All right, man.
Thanks, brother. Nice seeing you.
God bless.
Same back.
All right.
Right on.